Well guys, here is a long overdue video on a tutorial on how I make rigs of rods, trucks, and clone them. I've done this actually a few times, but this time I want to do a whole in-depth video on it, as I am going to make a brand new truck, and it's going to be daisy chained from MTWS repainted, as I'm going to do this Escalade body. Now, of course, this tutorial is going to be a lot different than probably most people clone their trucks, but unfortunately, I can't do the way most people do it anymore because it doesn't work for me. So I have to do my way, which not only works, but in my eyes, after using both methods, I think this way is honestly better and simpler. So we're going to do that. So, first off, if you want to make a truck, what do you need to do to not clone a truck, I mean to say. If you're trying to clone a truck, what do you need? Well, first off, you need the truck itself. 2, you need to put its folders, its stuff, in a folder to edit with. This will make it easier too. A lot of people I know over the years edit the truck in a zip. I don't think that's a smart idea. You should do it outside in its own folder to make it easier, especially so you can reload the truck and see it changes afterwards. You need a program called Notepad++ to make it easier to work with, which I'll put the stuff in the description to download. And you need a paint program to repaint. Now you could use Microsoft Paint, that comes in by default, but I use Photoshop, which my version you have to pay for, so good luck with that. There is another free version which somewhat works like Photoshop, but I don't use it as much, and that is Paint.net. So there's many paint options you could do, but you just need the truck, the files for it in a folder, Notepad++, and a painting program. So anyways, I'm going to show you all what to do, but first things first, I'm going to paint this truck. So I'm going to stop the video right now, paint everything, and then I'm going to begin the cloning process. So give me a little bit. And also, I figured I'd show you all how I make blanks of each paint, because trying to get this all done by scratch is really cumbersome and not easy to deal with. So what I do is, so this is something Aaron showed me, and you can do this on Paint.net too. Unfortunately, let me lower this a little bit. There we go. So it's selecting the outside and not the by itself. So select on Photoshop, because this is Photoshop I'm using. I think Paint.net you can do this too on. So you select the background, and then right click and you hit Layer via Copy, hide the paint, and there you go. You got your blank. Now, of course, you have to do some more work to the body, because it didn't have like the windows and stuff right here, which I'm doing right now, as you can see. Here we go. And then here. And there you go. Now I still have to do the maybe the headlights right here, and I gotta do the front grille right here, which is gonna be difficult paint. But yeah, thanks a lot, computer, for Windows for doing that for me. But there you go. That's how you make a blank layout of a body. And you should do this for anyone that's making trucks, because it looks so much more professional than just plopping the paint on, hoping it sticks in the outlines. Here you actually see the outlines, and it looks so much more professional. Alright, so now to begin painting. Okay guys, I actually had to redo this because what I did earlier, it didn't save, much to my annoyance on OBS. Plus, this helps me fix some errors I made. So anyways, I finished the truck. Let me close this out. The truck is, let me close this out too, is Heartbreaker. That's the new paint I've made, and it took me only like 20 minutes to make this. There's some fixes I need to do back here, but this is good enough for me to show it off. And of course, I also made the chassis, the forelinks, the hydro, which is the bar above the tie rod, the rims, the shocks, the sway bar, and the tie rod. I did all the textures for all the parts that I usually paint on a truck. So now, before I clone it, the first thing, because this is what I forgot to do, I had to do it in the middle of the video, is you have to edit the truck file, which is the main file of the truck itself. This is where it puts all the parts and combines them together. So the first thing you need to do is rename it to what your truck is going to be. So this is Heartbreaker. There we go. I don't know why it select all of them, but okay. But then you load it up. Then this is where you rename the truck right here. So, right, I'm going to rename it something else later, but right now we'll just have it as this for the moment. And of course, this right here is where you do the turbo, stall fix. Like, if you notice, a lot of trucks, a lot of times they don't like stall if you don't drive. You have an idle. This fixes it. So if a truck's like this, it's going to stall. So you have to add this right here, turbo gas, to fix the stall. This is where you edit the sounds. And And then, of course, down right here, this is separate, but here's where the rims are at, but we'll get to that later. And then right here, and of course, if you want to work on the tires, this is where you do it right here as well. But first, we're going to do the body. So here's the body, but right now we're going to save it, as we're now going to load it up in game before I do my next test. I hate when the newer version of Rigs or Rods do this, where it regens the catch each time you load it. Why can't you just load up by default every time like the old ones instead of making me wait? So here we go. Load up. So once you name the truck file, the truck should load up in-game. So here we go. Look for it. Here we go. There's Heartbreaker. Alright. Come on, hurry up. I'm going to pull over here. Yeah, you see, it's just Daisy Chain right now. We didn't do anything yet to it. All we did was just rename the truck file, but it's still loading up as Daisy Chain. Alright, so there you go. Now, so now, let me go back here. So now, next up is, I'm going to save, we're going to do the body first. So, this is what I do in Photoshop. You quick export. And right now, we're going to save it as Daisy Chain, which is the body. Paint texture. Right, there we go. We're over saving it. Wait for it to update. Because I have it set by most recent update. There we go. So now we got to clone it. Because if I leave it as is, it will load up. But the problem is, since I have the Daisy Chain truck, they will conflict with each other and cause problems. You need to completely clone it. That way there will be no confliction. So here's what you do to clone it. First, you have to find the mesh for the body, which I show right here. Oh, overshot it. It's right down here. Here we go. This is the body, daisychain.mesh. That's what you got to look for first. So they're right here. Daisy chain mesh material, which is the important one. So first you go get the texture, and we're going to rename it. So there we go. And then you're going to copy the name. Then you're going to go to the mesh material, and then you're going to rename it to exactly the same thing. Alright, now here is where you need Notepad++. So what you do is when you go to the mesh or material, and you got to do this for both, you have to right-click, open with, choose default program, and then you hit other programs if Notepad++ doesn't show up here. You look for Notepad++, you select it, then you hit always use the selected program to open this type of file and hit OK, and therefore mesh material will always load up with Notepad++. And you got to do this to make it easier, especially my way. Alright, so once you do that, here we go, load it up. And here we go, we're in the mesh material folder. So what you got to do is, you got to look up the names. So we're going to look up Daisy. Oh. Here we go. Wait, you missed it. You're missing it right there, thing, okay? So you gotta find the original texture name and you just replace it. In materials, it's usually 2 names, so you gotta look for them all. And then right up, it's right here for mesh. Save it. And there you go. Now, we have to go into the truck file and rename it right here. And there we go. It's done. It should, as long as nothing wrong happens, it should just load up. So now we have to, now here's my strategy to make it load up. So here's what you gotta do. You go to simulation, reload current vehicle, it will load up the truck, and it should show up with the update paint, as we're gonna find in just a moment. Because it worked earlier, it should work on the second try. And there we go. There's Daisy Chain with the Heartbreaker texture on. And doesn't it look beautiful? Love it so much. I made that in just 20 minutes. It looks so good for this test. Alright. So, yeah. That's how you make a clone of the truck, as we cloned the body. Now, I'm going to get off for a little bit, and I'm going to clone the rest of the truck. It's pretty much the exact same process. So, hang on. And by the way, when I was working on it, this is the first thing that came up with an error while I was working on the chassis. If you see a part of the truck that's not supposed to be white, like this is not supposed to be white, the chassis, that means the clone was not done properly. So I'm going to show that again, as I just realized I screwed up something. So let me load it back up again. So let's look for Daisy. Yep, there you go. See, in the material, Daisy Chain had another line of stuff you have to rename. So that's usually the first thing that shows up with an error possibly. And there's nothing in the mesh. So here we go. I hate when you do it so much. Rigs or Rods, load it up, and now it should show up correctly. Here we go. That's the chassis as its correct color. So now I show that error in case if you get it. Now to get back to work on the truck. And there we go. There's Heartbreaker. Mostly done. As you can see, I repainted the rims, the forelinks, the sway bar, the shocks. I think I already said the rims. The hydro, which is right here. The tie rod, the chassis, which you already see, and of course the body. As the truck is pretty much done. Although there's still probably some textures I need to fix in the back. But now, the final thing. This is completely optional, but if all of you wondering, like, how did you make the picture when you load up a truck? Like, for example, like that. Captain's Curse. You're probably wondering, how do you get this picture right here when you load it up? Well, I'm going to show you now how I do it. It's called You Gotta Make a Mini. So, to make the minis like I do it, you gotta get a track called Reflection Room, which is not on Sim Monsters. It's on the old Rigs of Rods site, I believe. So you have to look it up. So then, go look up Heartbreaker. I'm gonna flip it around. This is what I do for like all my trucks. Move the camera out here. Raise the FOV all the way up to 9, which is the highest number. Gotta wait for it to get up to 9. There we go. And then, let's get the camera right. And there we go. There's a picture for Heartbreaker. So now, go over to Photoshop, as there's the mini I have saved for all my trucks in the future when I make them back in 2020. So you gotta make it small. That's why I make it small a little bit. There we go. Alright, then I copy, make a copy, then move it over to mini, and then I gotta resize it, and there you go. Simple as that. Now of course I update the year, and then I update the name up here, but there you go. That's how I make my minis. And then for the truck itself, how do you make it show up with its name? I mean, how do you make it show up in game? Because even if you make the picture, it's still not going to show up. Well, you have to take the name of the truck file right here and add a mini to it. So the truck's called Heartbreaker, so you have to get the exact same name, Heartbreaker-mini. And then it will load up. So delete. And then rename this to keep the professionalism. And then I got to go get the Heartbreaker logo over here. And then I gotta flip it around. No. Why can't you just flip around normally like you're supposed to? And then put it up here and there. Just hide Buckin' Bronco, and there we go. Got my mini. So now to save. And like I said, Heartbreaker. The .truck file, so delete all that, -mini, and there you go. Now, in some reason, my experience, you have to zip the truck up in order to actually see it in game, because normally it just doesn't work for me if I did the reload thing. So when you make the mini, just zip the truck up and check out then. So there you go. That's how I clone a truck on Rigs and Rods, doing my method, which I think is easier, quicker than the way everyone else does it, since my Ogre Mesh Converter does not work anymore to clone trucks like it does for other people. So anyways, I'm going to finish this truck up, and when you're done with your truck, like I said, you take the folder, you zip it up, rename it, and then you're done. And then you could do whatever with it. Now I'm going to finish up Heartbreaker, and then eventually put it up to download. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and hopefully this will help you make and clone your own truck successfully on your own. Alright, so I'll wrap it up here. See you guys next time.